Hello, my beautifuls. How are you? I'm still sick. Just trying to fight through it. I've got my the news has been shared. Okay. Wow, that was fast. Didn't expect it to be now. What timing? Okay, we have the news here. Okay. Okay, hold on. Let me mute the music here. I need to fix one thing here. This. Okay. Vohack6 for the sub, man. Appreciate it. All right, let's look at unearth a looming threat in the season of the construct. Okay. Devastating constructs beneath the deserts of Kakistan, I mean. Begins January 23rd. I'm pretty sure that's a Tuesday. A new dungeon type called Vaults. Weekly leaderboards in the Gauntlet. Quality of life features. Let me change my thing to Diablo 4. Let's go to Diablo 4 here. I didn't expect it to be instantly. Fix one thing here and say that we're playing Diablo 4. All right. All right. All right. Let's see here. Honor Sultan Cool's legacy in a new quest line. Okay, there's a quest line. Okay. So we're going to do a quest line with elementals and hazards. So does that mean there's like traps in the dungeon that you have to dodge? So you get like a follower. You get a follower that's going to help you. I thought were they going to have a campfire? I could turn the music on, by the way. Just turn it down a little bit. Okay. Okay, so let's look at this in detail and understand what exactly is going on here. Okay. So, if I'm understanding this correctly, your friend has two abilities. Two abilities. There are 12 different abilities that you could pick 2 of. And then for each of the abilities, you get 3 supporting things. So it's essentially like, I mean, probably the best analogy is Path of Exile. You get a follower, and you get to 4 link. You get 2 4 links for the follower that you get to pick. If I'm understanding this correctly. So it's going to be interesting. Complete vaults to earn 1 random tuning stone. Seek out ward woven chest to earn additional. What's an arcane tremor? Did they explain that? I know what a vault is. They'll follow you and everywhere. So even like the timed event. Wait, okay, here's the full list. Okay. 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 Let's look at this. In general, anything for defense is probably not going to be the answer, so I'd say this one's out. Depending upon how much damage this does, it could be very good. Hard to say. It sounds like this does splash damage, which could be very good. Sorry, guys. We mute. Bye-bye. All right, we're back. Sorry. Okay. Hold on. Let me go get my Kleenex. All right. Okay. So, does it say anywhere in this info that the how do you say this word? Seneschal? What does this word even mean? Seneschal, the steward or major domo of a medieval great house. Is it Seneschal?
Seneschal.
Seneschal. Seneschal. All right. um, does it say anywhere that the Seneschal champion gets shares your powers? So what I mean by that is, if I have certain legendary powers that buff damages over time, does my Seneschal champion also gain those? So if I'm playing Firewall Sorcerer, do I get to do the Bernie thing? The announced trailer just dropped. Can you please link it to me? I guess I can just go to Diablo for YouTube. Diablo 4 auto-generated by YouTube. Can you link it to me, Explicit? Please? I don't know if you linked it, Hexplicit, but it's not. Let's go to Twitter here. Or X, Diablo 4. Okay, I see it. Okay. Let me mute the music here. Hopefully it's not another one of those where I laugh super hard. I can't afford to laugh super hard right now.
Indeed. So many.
How many times do I have to click the pause button in order to pause something? I I literally clicked it 5 times. Holy shit. Can you guys hear this just fine? How's that? Can you hear it?
Ah, welcome, Wanderer. I sense that recent events have brought you to me. These are strange times indeed. So many fear the inexplicable. I deal in it. And you seek answers. This will lead you to the knowledge you desire. Legends state this rune is the missing piece of an arcane construct. A mighty weapon capable of harnessing ancient power for the one strong enough to control it. But be warned, for the construct is buried deep beneath Kyrgyzstan in the ancient vaults of Zoltan Kur. Untouched for centuries, they are protected by deadly traps of Kul's own design, and guarded by his mechanical horrors. But the architect Zoltan Kul overestimated his cleverness. In his hubris, the mage abandoned his work, leaving darker forces free to corrupt his machinations and claim the vault's power for themselves. The answers await you in the depths. Take the rune, if you dare.
Okay. Okay, interesting. So these attacks it's hard to say which one of them would be the best. I just don't know. Okay. Let's read the support ones. Damage from supported skills instantly destroys enemy barrier effects. And it gives you vulnerable. Okay, so this could be very, very important for certain builds that don't have access to vulnerable. This so here's how this usually works in ARPGs, guys. Not always, but this is how it usually works with pets. In almost every game ever created, if you have the choice between buffing a pet, let me say it again. When you're playing and you have a pet, if you have two choices, the pet buffs themselves or the pet buffs you, it's almost always better to have the pet buff you. So making them vulnerable helps you. Gain critical strike chance against the targets that these guys are hitting. If they're hitting like in a big AoE, just gives you critical strike chance. So unless they've made these pets extremely powerful, I'm looking at these supports to give me vulnerable and crit and crit. Applies chill. This might let like wizards take a bunch of passives. Like you could have a fire sorcerer take a bunch of I don't know the wizard tree. I haven't looked at it in a while, but if there's damage to chilled enemies or frozen enemies or something, maybe the pet can make them frozen, chilled for you. Okay, so this is massive. This is massive for what are they called? Sorcerers? This is massive because it gives you the fire bolt enchantment slot. It automatically gives you the burning damage. So now you can take Devouring Blaze. You can take Devouring Blaze without speccing the Firebolt enchantment slot. And now maybe something similar. Maybe barbs don't have to take certain bleeds in order to get the bleeding power. Similarly, they're also poisoned. Okay. Wow, here's access to fortify that you wouldn't that other players wouldn't have. Some classes really struggle to gain fortify. Now you can gain it. Okay, I think this one is just absolutely godly, depending upon how it works. There might be some really, you just need to find the fastest, whichever skill gives you the most resource back, and if it's any kind of meaningful thing, this could be massive. Could give you pretty much infinite mana or energy, whatever it is that you use. This the supportive skill will cause the. So does that mean it will like tank for you? Can only occur once every so often seconds. Oh, Blizzard. Okay. So this could be massive. For example, resource support with arcing support. You want to know what this reminds me of, honestly? It reminds me of PoE. They gave you a follower with 2 4 links, and they put 1,000,000 support gems in it. You got 12 attacks, and you got 27 supports. This reminds me so much of PoE. You know, I gotta be honest. My initial thought about this is my first time ever seeing this. I don't have any insider info. I'm seeing this for the first time with you guys. Is actually pretty favorable because I play all the classes. I know I haven't played it in a month, so I gotta freshen up, but there's a lot of things here where if it works like I think it will, you could make some super insane quality of life builds. Like, for example, Hoda is always trying to get their rage back. Well, I love this resource thing. You might be able just to big smash literally all the time, just without even thinking about it. Chain lightning is similar. When I played a full chain lightning sorcerer, if I threw a chain lightning and I missed and I ran out of mana, it was an absolute nightmare. But this stupid ass pet might be able to fix my problem. Jesus, man. Okay, wait a minute. Okay, let me call a timeout here. So let me go back. Okay, it's a support thing. Okay, let me call a timeout here. I think what is happening here is Blizzard is potentially doing here what I've been begging them to do since the beginning, and it's never quite been exactly right. One of the most important things for me in one of these games is to have a chase item that's actually possible to find. So the Shaco that comes out in the original game, that doesn't count. You can't find it. It's way too rare. Stupid. Then they made the Shaco farmable with Duriel. Okay, well, I guess that's a little bit better. But farming Duriel is boring. And that it just doesn't feel right? But it looks like they're trying again. And there's 2 support things. They called them tuning stones, right? A tuning stone is a support stone. And it looks like these are maybe very rare support things that are just godly, that might make your pet a god, or maybe your pet makes you a god. And if it's their attempt at doing that, which is what this is sounding like, this is what I need you to do, Blizzard. This is what I need you to do. I hope that you got this right. It's some kind of middle ground between the two. Sorry, guys. I've been real sick this week. I'm trying to get better. So, I'll be honest with you. So far, I have a pretty favorable opinion of this. But let's keep reading. All right. Thank you so much for all the subs, guys. Krieger, Charlie Brown, Packle. Okay. Okay. Let's keep going. Okay. Okay, let's read this. Let's read this a second time for clarification. You are blessed by Zoltan's warding, which grants access to the riches. You lose stacks if you fall prey to the hazards. So it's not clear if the hazards just do damage to the buff or if they do damage to your health as well. Using pearls of warding increases the risk I don't understand. Why would that increase the risk? Okay, so I don't understand. Someone explain this to me. Zoltan's warding is a buff that you need to preserve. Pearls of warding give you extra stacks of this buff. So why would getting extra stacks of a buff be a risk? What am I missing here? maybe it increases the difficulty. Does it say that here? I don't know. Extra stacks of Zoltan's warding sounds like a buff. Yeah, maybe it gives you extra stacks but makes it harder. Maybe so. um. So this is what I. This is what I think. This is what I think this means. Not sure. I don't get it, but this is what I think this means. Let me. So using the pearls of warding increases the difficulty and grants extra stacks. Zoltan's warding buffs the monsters. It does. It says you are blessed by Zoltan's warding, but you lose the warding if you get hit by hazards. So Zoltan's warding is a blessing on you, right? There's probably, I think, like the initial thing that you guys said is kind of what I'm thinking. I think it means like juicing. You can make it tougher, which is cool. You can essentially choose the difficulty. Cool. You're running fully juiced. At the end, you're running whatever it is, five pearl vaults all day long. Obviously, the blessing is a curse. Isn't blessing and curse like antonyms? Yeah. Here's my question. Unless I'm missing something obvious, is it clear to you guys that this is not? Is it clear that this is not exactly clear? Maybe needs a little bit of clarification. I think that this is juicing. I think it does make it harder for more rewards, but I don't understand how, because it sounds like this buff is a good thing. So I think what this means is somehow it makes it harder. Okay. So pearls is definitely a way to get more juice. It's definitely a way to juice the vaults. I'm just not clear if it makes it harder. It says it increases the risk, but it gives you extra stacks of this, which this sounds like the good thing that you need to preserve. So unless this blessing, as someone said, is simultaneously a curse, it's definitely a juicing mechanic. By the way, I skipped a paragraph here. Vault sigils drop alongside nightmare dungeon sigils or can be crafted. Will require pearls of warding. Okay. Wait, I'm sorry. Let me read that one more time. I didn't process anything that I just read here. All right. Okay. Okay, so they're making more density in Helltide, and the 925 items are guaranteed from tier 90 or higher nightmare dungeons. Yeah, another thing that I told Blizzard, I talked to them the day before, and then they announced it in the campfire right after, and I told them, guys, one of the only places that I can get loot, there's only like two places I can get loot from, Duriel and the world boss. They drop 925 gear. I don't get it anywhere else. Almost never. Like, that can't be the only place to get gear. What about like Nightmare Dungeons? So now, as you reach the pinnacle of Nightmare Dungeons, it sounds like they're going to drop 925 gear, which is a much better change. So you can actually farm gear in more than 2 places. All right. All right. Wait, this isn't even on the launch of the season? Wait, the whole thing? Okay, so uh yeah, so this is really, really too bad, man. This is really too bad. This is, I don't know if you guys understand how bad this is. There's a chain reaction happening here. Oh no. Well, okay, we have some problems here. So, and well, let's check it out. Oh no, that's just too bad, man. It's always comes down to this, man. All right, so season 3 launches on January 23rd, I think, right? And we don't have the Gauntlet at the start. Okay, now there's a couple of problems here. We don't have this. So the first thing is the Gauntlet was the thing that they were touting as the cool thing about season 3. The fact that it doesn't even launch at the start of season 3. You don't want to say it's a lie. I guess it comes in season 3, but people care in ARPGs, people care about the beginning of the season. Certainly Blizzard knows this. Blizzard might be the company that invented seasons with Diablo 2. They invented these restart things. I think if it wasn't them, they were one of the pioneers of this. So the beginning is like the most important time when everyone's actually going to give it a chance. If this isn't a part of the beginning, that's a big miss. So that's what I'm guessing. I'm guessing it's just not done. I'm guessing it's a work in progress and it's just not ready. There is another alternative though, which would be worse. Let's say that they're strategically waiting to release it to keep people playing. Well, one of the reasons to potentially do that, as some of you have already pointed out in chat, is Last Epoch releases. Does anybody know the date? Is it like 2/23? It's what? Anybody know the date? 24th, 21st, 21st. So it is possible. I don't know the answer. It is possible that they want to delay it to compete with the Last Epoch release. And that's Like, I understand if that's like a business decision and you're trying to like hold the market, I guess, but as players and content creators, we just lose. Um, Whichever the reason, whether it's a work in progress or they're trying to compete, if it's delayed by even 3 weeks, you're going to compete in the gauntlet. It's a weekly thing. You competed at one time, and then last epoch. You know. All right, so um, check something here. All right. Something here. Uh, hmm. I'm actually very surprised by this. Well, yeah, it is what it is. Okay, people have been asking for this. This is nice. WASD movement. I believe that they said after the first outcry asking for this, they had no plans to do this. I had no idea this was coming, but a lot of people will care about this. Okay, they're just straight up giving us an additional stash tab. There are 3 new blessings. Will we get enough will we get enough powers? Will we get enough smoldering ashes to max everything? Or you like me playing PoE better than a lot of people have said that. I don't know. We'll do a poll after this. A lot of people have said that they want to see me play more PoE. I'll do a poll when we're done reading this. If you guys want me to play PoE and find the mirror, we can. But I thought you guys wanted to see me push Wave of Light, but I've been I've been so sick. I've made so little progress on my character, and now I should have already been hopefully rank 150 done. Instead, my guy's just a piece of shit because I haven't played. See, there's mixed opinions in chat. Play what is new. I'm always going to play what's new between the ARPGs. I'm always going to do that. I just meant for the next few days until this season starts is all I meant. I only meant for a few days. Okay, let's do a poll in the chat. Let's do a poll. How do you feel about Diablo 4 Season 3? 10. Godly. 7.5. Great. 5. Meh. 2.5. Bad. 0. Oof. Okay, wait, hold on. YouTube can't vote if I do it like that. Let's do it as a straw poll. Create a poll. Jesus Christ. Diablo 4, by the way. Wait, how did it know that? Wow. Wow. Wait, how do I? Let's go back. Okay. I'm gonna paste it in the chat. Yeah, the share button, nice. Can you get, does that link that I posted work? Can anybody vote? Okay, yeah. Link the poll. There's the poll again. Sorry. Packle, Bearded, Warbeard, thanks for the subs, guys. All right, well, looks like we're getting like a 6 overall from the chat. Maybe a 6. Jesus, man. All right. We give you, for what it's worth, not much. Let me that's a good point. That's a really good point. Where are the patch notes? Like, are they changing any items? Are they changing any sets? Are they changing any abilities? Ball Lightning does patch notes come out the 19th, okay. It said at the bottom, oh, so I just can't read. Okay. All right. All right. So, what have they announced here? There's a new quest line. You go underground. You fight like little traps and elementals. It certainly sounds different than what we've been doing. So that's the main thing for me. It's been purple Helltide. It's been orange Helltide. It's been pink Helltide. Sherbert Helltide. At least it's something different. I don't mind the idea either. It seems kind of cool. The Seneschal champion, kind of the same thing. All the powers that they have been doing, all of the powers that they have been doing, all the seasonal themes have just buffed us. But now that you actually have a companion, it's something different. And honestly, the four-linking ideas with this is probably one of the better things for me. There's a lot of cool ways that you could support these, and there seems to be some chase items. If they could actually get the balance right when you actually find these, it might actually make you feel like $1,000,000. And they also implemented a juicing mechanic, which I'll be honest, I don't understand from reading it. I understand that in two separate paragraphs, it's a juicing mechanic and it's got something to do with the buffs, but I'm not exactly sure how it works. Hopefully, we clarify it there. So, as far as the season theme, by the way, I think Blizzard said that this is how their internal structure works. The season 1 team makes the season 3 theme and the season 5 theme, and the season 2 team makes the season 4 theme. There's 2 teams rotating on seasons. I think that they said that. I haven't played it yet, so I don't know. But if I were to judge season 1 versus season 3, season 3 sounds way better than season 1. Season 1 fucking sucked. So it's better, in my opinion. So they did better than season 1. Season 2 was, when I heard about season 2, it was the vampire zones. I was kind of rolling my eyes that the season of the Malignant would be it was gonna be like the season of the Malignant, but it actually wasn't. Season 2, I think everybody thinks it was way better than season 1. So I don't know if season 3 will be better than season 2, but they did a better job here. I'm almost certain of it. Yes, the bar was pretty low for season 1, but I mean, I'll give them credit. I think it's better. Again, we talked about the Pearls of Warding is a form of juicing, but it's not exactly clear how it works. We just need it to be explained in the campfire. This is a way to get pearls in the overworld. Cool, fine. This is the worst news for me. They've told us that this was coming out as a part of season 3 for the for a long time. Everybody plays in the beginning. The hype is in the beginning. I think it has to mean either it's a work in progress and it's not done. Would be 75% of me thinks it's that. The other 25% is they're purposely delaying it to bring people back later or trying to compete with the last Epoch global launch on the 21st. I mean, I made 5 last season. I made 5 level 100 characters to do the Abattoir of Zir. The moment that I found out the Tears of Blood was not shared XP, that automatically eliminated 4 of my characters. And then by the time, they did fix it pretty quickly, but by that time, a new PoE season was out. I was playing that. So I essentially made 5 characters for the Abattoir for nothing. I'm having scary future foreshadowing that is this going to be the same thing with this? Well, people are asking for where's the change in itemization. The Diablo 4 team has already announced when the itemization changes are hitting, and they are hitting in Season 4. They're hitting in Season 4. Season 4 should be in April, yes. We got another stash tab. That's good. What's the TLDR of the season? All right. Let's do I said I was going to do a recap, and then pretty much all I did was ramble about random things. What's coming in Season 3? There's a new quest line. It involves elementals and traps. It's under Kekistan. You get a new Seneschal pet. This pet gets 2 attacks that you put 3 support skills on these attacks. It's hard to tell from reading this which of the attacks will be good or not. But the support skills, if you read through them, are actually could be game altering. They could give you, for example, the one I keep going back to is they could give you a bunch of your resources back. That's massive for a lot of different builds, just trying to get your resources back. Imagine a Bone Spear Necro that can just throw Bone Spears infinitely. Just machine gun them because of their pet, for example. Then if you combine that with arcing, it says when the supporting... Oh, wait. It says first deals damage. So you need whichever supporting skill attacks as fast as possible. So maybe there's a supported skill which gives massive attack speed. This one. So you need the fastest attacking one to just give you infinite resources. It's just one example. It is not clear how much damage the pet will do. It is not clear if the pet gets any powers from you, if it benefits from... You know, I better write this stuff down. Let me write this down. Let me get a little Google Doc going here. So, some nice questions for the campfire. I'm just going to send these to Blizzard. Let's... Remaining questions on D4S3 patch notes. Let's take a moment to make a document here. All right, we could do this. It's okay. Okay. Make sure I don't flashbang you guys. Let's go over here. What questions can we share with Blizzard that maybe they could answer for us that would help get us excited for the season? So, what was that? It's like giving me an outline. That was weird. Start with the pets. So, what is the expected power level of a pet relative to a mid to end game character? Do pets gain damage, health, buffs from us? What else could we ask? There's got to be lots of questions here. It says that pearls increase risk for more rewards. How does the risk increase? Oh, my chat got frozen. Shit. Ask about content? What do you mean? Oh, yes. Yes. What are they called? That's a great question. Yes. What are they called again? Stones. Is the leveling of stones account wide? What's it called? The Gauntlet. Why isn't this on the Season 3 launch when everyone is playing? Is Diablo 4 a cheap money grab garbo? I think the Diablo 4 team is genuinely trying to make a good game. Is it a cheap money grab garbo? No. If you want my honest opinion. Yeah, DM is here. DM, do you want to talk in Discord? Are you free? Do you want to chat? You guys okay if I pull DM in here?
Ring, ring, banana phone.
Oh no, I'm gonna have to turn you up. Can you say something else?
1212. Here's season 3 for you.
You guys hear him loud and clear now? How's that? It's nice to talk to you, man. It's been a while. How are you?
It sounds like better than you, man. You sound sick as a dog. You doing it right?
Yeah. I'll make it. I'm gonna make it. We'll get it. We'll get it done. You were really sick like a month ago or something, weren't you?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's why I missed BlizzCon. I had the rupture of the ear, which can turn into infection and the whole thing.
Fun fact about me, I've had 11 surgeries on my right ear, so I know all about ear problems. I'm the ear
I remember that.
I'm the ear problem god, but now maybe you're the ear problem god now.
Luckily, it seems to have recovered.
All right, man. No small talk. Tell me what you think about the season.
How straight to the point do you want my opinion here? I mean, are we?
Give it to us straight, man. Give it to
This
us straight.
This is mid as fuck, my dude. They went on BlizzCon stage and hyped the Gauntlet leaderboard, which isn't ready at the release of the goddamn season, and then we have vampire powers and glyphs meshed into a pet. Like, I don't understand.
So you don't like the pets?
I mean, I like that it's a pet. I'm kind of mid on it. I'll be honest. Like, it's I looked at this UI and I'm like, so it's vampire powers. That was immediately what I thought.
What I thought it was I thought it was Path of Exile. They give you two 4 links. They give you 12 skills, and the supporty skills that you attach to them. I mean, this is what I've been doing for the last month at Path of Exile, is min-maxing my 5 support skills, trying to make my tornado shot do more damage.
I do like the support. So in my video I'm uploading right now, I just said that, like, the one thing I liked about it is it literally looks like support gems from Path of Exile, where you can modify what types of damage it does, etc., to interact with the rest of the build. That is a step in the right direction. But it is attached to a mechanic that is a seasonal-based mechanic and not the core game, which is a little bit of a bummer. But I like the test of that. If I'm looking for positives, that is something I very much like. I also like WASD. I think that's better. I think the quality of life changes were good. We got +1 stash tab to put more of the same legendary items in. I think that's cool. I don't really understand the vault, to be honest. Why would I ever do it? Like, I'm not hurting for legendary items at any point in this game.
I think you have to do the vault. I could be wrong, and maybe I'd have to read it again. I think you have to do the vault to level up your powers.
But aren't those also attached to? It sounded like it comes from the Helltide ground or something too. There's this. There's this point down below, right above where they're like, "Hey, we're delaying the Gauntlet or whatever." There's this staunch the spread of arcane tremors, which sounds like a new colored Helltide, where it's like it comes out of the ground, etc. It's just like a paragraph of lore. It doesn't really give us details, so I'm not really sure what that is. But it sounds to me like you can earn the shattered stones there, which you can use to craft the other thing. So it's not entirely, I could be misunderstanding this. It's not entirely clear to me. But it kind of sounds like we can get these stones in more places than just the vaults. If it's just the vault, then that makes sense. I get the vault then.
Okay, so if you do traps, then the lesser monsters, they give you shattered stones. If you do the elites, it gives you the pearls, which, as I understand it, I read it like 5 times. I just don't understand it, but I understand it's a juicing mechanic somehow. A
Which I
juicing,
like Sanctum, right? It looks like Sanctum.
yeah, it's a way to juice it up. So the shattered stones do what?
You use the shattered stones at the jewelers to craft stuff, like craft the stones that you don't have or whatever.
What about the 2 chase items? What about the Evernight and Genesis?
It could be cool. Chase items are cool. I like that. But it's double question mark, so I have no opinion on it because it's just a bunch of question marks. So it's the same thing that's in my head. It just says question mark, question mark. Hopefully they're really good. But so here's my issue is I don't feel a lack of power in Diablo 4. I don't know if you feel this way, but I feel like I have all the power I need. What I need is things to exhibit the power on. And what I got from this was more ways to grab power with new types of power, which is the companion. The companion is cool. We all like a pet, but then why is my problem? So once we have the pet and we're juiced to the tits, what do we do with it?
You're completely right. This is a problem that I've seen, actually, not just Blizzard, but other games make the opposite problem, where they're too afraid to give players, at least in the very, very end game, the ability to finally make a character that's actually really powerful and feels great. But usually, even in those games, when they finally came around and gave people the power, there was always something to do. So the
Yes.
abattoir is gone. I'm assuming I will one-shot Lilith with any character that I make again. Do you have any interest in farming Duriel?
Absolutely zero. I'd be doing it right now because it's already in the game.
I wonder how difficult the vaults could be, and like maybe they get really, really tough, but again, I'm trying to read through here. What I'm trying to do as I'm talking to you is I'm trying to read through and see exactly why do we do the vaults? Because if we can craft the stone or the God, what are they called? All this terminology, man.
Tuning stones and I forget the other one already. Tuning stone and shattering stone.
Okay, they're just tuning and governing. If you can just craft them with stuff that you can do in the overworld by killing lesser enemies, why would you do vaults? Chat knows. I must be missing something. There has to be a reason to do them.
I'm not sure. I'm just gonna throw a wild guess out here, which it seems like, okay, season 3 needs something. Let's take added powers, throw it into the game, modify them a little bit. We'll have leaderboards and gauntlets come out later on when everyone's super strong to test who's the strongest, and then call it a day. I don't know. Like I don't really see a reason why I would play beyond collecting the pet. Like once I have the pet and try the pet, it's like, cool, I got the powers. Now what? That's where I'm stuck. It's like, what do I do once I have my little scorpion dude here and I have all of the scorpion dude powers and I'm like, oh, that's cool. I like poison scorpion dude. And now what?
Yeah, it's the amount of added content here. It's exactly as you put it. The amount of added content here was really only the gauntlet beyond getting the pet, and we don't have that at the start. Like for me, I don't know how you feel about it. For me, not having the thing at the start is probably the most disheartening thing in the entire patch list.
It's the worst thing they could do for the game. Like they went on the BlizzCon stage twice and talked about only the Gauntlet and the leaderboard. We never even got a teaser about this pet thing. This came out of the left, which is cool. I'm not hating on the pet, but it's like the whole point was the Gauntlet, and then it's like, oh, by the way, it'll be here like for all we know the last month of the season, like AOZ was. Isn't the point of a leaderboard to race at the start? Why would I want to do a leaderboard when half the people have quit the game and the only people still playing are people like us that are streaming the game 15 hours a day to make the strongest? But I'm not trying to compete with people that have 100 hours of game time already. Like I want to race at the start.
It was kind of funny so the Diablo 3 season came out last week. We did one final hurrah of that, where everybody's on having fun and everybody's racing. So we raced on EU, we raced on NA, and I was, very happy when I hit rank 1. And, rank 1 to 70, rank 1 to 100, or whatever, rank 1 at the end of the day, at day 1. One guy came in my chat and said, I think his actual words were, being happy to be first place at the end of day 1 is like having a 10-inch dick and you last 5 seconds. And I looked at him and I said, I don't think I could possibly disagree with what you just said more. Because day 1 is when every single person is playing. There's no botters, there's no cheaters, there's no people with 10,000 Paragon. And it's actually the most exciting time and fun time to actually compete. I would argue it's the only time that matters, because all the rest of it is
and everyone's learning. It's fair. It's the most fair a race could possibly be, is the second when no one knows what they're doing.
Yeah. I mean, let's say that this is delayed for 2 weeks. If you don't stick with the game, and even if you stick with the game, if you're not really paying attention and learning and theory crafting, by the time that it does come out, people are going to be level 100 with 21 glyphs, with perfect min-maxed, max level pets, with everything on it. Like, here, it would have been so cool. I think this is kind of like the point that you were trying to make. What would have been the most beautiful thing about the Gauntlet would be to have seen the progression of the builds. The progression of, the rank 1 time used the Poison Scorpion, and new tech in week 2, the Thunder Scorpion has this funny thing where it stuns all the enemies and it gives you way more damage. And week 3, Keck W, it's actually this Scorpion that we thought would never be good is actually way better. It would have been way more exciting. Instead, we're going to get it in like 3 or 4 weeks, and everyone's going to have everything mostly figured out, and all the times are going to be within like a second of each other.
Well, someone will figure out whatever's the most bugged build. There will be a million even barbarians one-shotting everything still, or it's going to be an Uber race. Like I don't want to have to farm Ubers immediately, because I know that in a month or whatever this is dropping, it'd be kind of cool to like get to the Gauntlet and be one of the first people to clear the Gauntlet. And maybe you make the decision, okay, do I go try the farm in Uber and then go for the Gauntlet? Does it require that? But now it's like, okay, well, if it's not out for, let's say it comes out in 30 days, if we're being generous, I have to decide, do I want to farm Ubers to be competitive for a month before it comes out and then go do it? No, I don't want to do that. I thought racing towards it would actually sound more fun. And in a month, I'm going to be playing Last Epoch anyway. So, like, not launching it on release is the biggest L they could have done, in my opinion, for the season. Which is a bummer. I'm not trying to like shit on the season either. It's just a bummer. Like they deflate the hype of these seasons every season, bro. They do this. I don't understand why they keep deflating the hype right before the start.
The most logical thing, and there's like many things that point toward it, is it just wasn't ready. They just aren't ready. I think a lot of the Diablo 4 team, a lot of the devs were probably putting in massive amounts of hours leading up to December, and they finally took all of their vacation time and tried to recuperate. They come back into the office on January, and you have a season to launch very, very soon, and it's not done. I mean, what are you going to do? I mean, the in the grand scheme of things, the the timing of this announcement is actually not terrible. It's not uncommon to get an announcement like a week before something comes out. That's not usually what Blizzard does. They'll usually let you know ahead of time. That's usually what they do. But it's not that big of a deal. But I don't think it was a conscious decision for them to switch that. I think they're just pressed for time and running behind, and it's they had to push something back, and they thought, well, maybe we can attract people to come into it later. And there will be people with different opinions than you and me. There will be people that will
For
play
sure.
and they don't care that it comes out later, but there's
And
also
it
going to be
doesn't
people that care.
ruin the season for me, but if the season had a million other things, then I'd be like, okay, that's fine. But literally, the vaults are to get the pet stuff, if we're understanding this correctly. And the only thing added to the season is literally the pet. So it's the season of the pet in which you get a pet, and that's the entire season. So if you like the pet, you'll like the season, but that's all there is. So I delaying the gauntlet for me is like, bro, this is half the season.
Yeah, I mean it's at least half of it. I'd say it's half of it. As you said, the fun thing will be fun in the very beginning to get down in there, do some new stuff, to get a pet, to kind of try a couple of the abilities. That will be fun. Probably day one of season 3 is going to be really fun. But then what? Then what?
Yeah, agreed. And then that's what I'm saying. You get the pet, you level the pet. The pet seems cool. I like the support style of it. If this is something they learn from and can add support style stuff to everything in the game, then yeah, that will be a big W. But that's not what's happening right now. What I don't like is that it's making me concerned about itemization changes for season 4, because it would be the same thing as like they say, hey, itemization changes are coming in season 4, and then it's okay. Well, tell you what, in the last month of the season, then we're going to change itemization. It's like everyone considers season 4 to be the itemization season. This season was considered and talked about as the leaderboard season. So when you come out and you say season 3 is season of the leaderboard, basically, and then you're like, just kidding, here's a pet, the leaderboards will come later. It's like, I mean, is it coming in 2 weeks? Because that's okay. If it's coming in like 2 months, then it's, it's kind of different.
I think Blizzard is, in a lot of these cases, is dealing with a double-edged sword, and they're not exactly sure what to do. I think, well, I know that the team is aware that, significant changes to the game are needed for it to feel like a complete game. Now, with that in mind, they work as hard as they can with the resources that they have to add those things to the game. So now you're faced with a decision. You could tell people ahead of time that you're bringing this new thing to the game, like leaderboards or like an itemization revamp. You tell them ahead of time to gain favor with the community because they're listening and they're aware of the problems and they will fix it. But simultaneously, that does set a deadline for you. But again, simultaneously, but you also kind of need to meet that deadline as well, because if you don't, a lot of the people's faith in the game falls down. But then it comes back to the first step where you might not just have the resources to completely revamp the game in these amounts of time. So then you get situations like this, and as you said, it raises questions about what will happen in season 4. Will we get the itemization revamp that we're hoping for, and will it even be at the beginning of the season? I have a feeling, unfortunately, like potentially a meme is going to come out of this announcement where whenever Blizzard announces a season, season 8, season 9, season 10, people are always going to say, well, season 9 is the season of the new class, and the new class is going to launch on the final day of the season. And I think it's just going to be a meme.
Basically. Well, there's a couple issues I have with it. One of which is that the ARPGs run off of hype off of the start of the leagues and seasons. And it's what happens is a new league, new season, everyone's like, let's go, let's log in, let's see what it's like. Everyone is, it's like Christmas morning, you're there to see what it is. And then if we consistently like destroy the hype right before the season launches, it's a bummer. They didn't have to go on the BlizzCon stage twice and announce the Gauntlet and leaderboards and how it's coming. They didn't have to do that, but they did. So that's what everyone expected. And then, just kidding, like it will be here in whenever. It's like that's going to deflate the hype.
I think it's possible. Well, I think it's possible that they thought they would have it done. Do you think that's what's going on here? Do you think that they just don't have it done, and that's what's the delay? Or do you think it's like to try to bring people back mid-season?
I don't think this is on purpose, if that's what you're asking. I think they fundamentally, since the launch of the game, have been behind. They're still behind. They're desperately trying. I have a split opinion of, like, I have empathy for devs who are trying to make a good game. I understand that point. I myself have pushed back against the people that just come into the chat and be like, fuck the Diablo 4 devs, they suck. Like, that's not how I feel, right? They're trying to make a good game. I understand that. But then as someone who wants to play video games, when I look at the game and I think, why would I play this when I can play fundamentally better games with my time that are arriving in the same cadence, by the way, with fewer employees, more content? Like, I have a split opinion on this. I completely empathize with them, but at the same time, everyone else can do it. And this company is how many employees do we need before we can make a game? Is kind of how I feel about it. We can make a leaderboard. It's a leaderboard, dude.
It's a leaderboard. I think, didn't Blizzard invent the ladders and the leaderboards? We don't even have a race to 100, man. We don't even have a level counter.
They probably put all the goddamn dev time into making the extra stash tab. Oh, well. We'll try it. Maybe the pet's awesome. Who knows?
Well... How many people does it take to make a leaderboard?
It's like that joke of how many people would take to screw on a light bulb, dude. It's like, how many Blizz devs do we need to make a leaderboard, dude?
Well, it's not like they're the company that invented leaderboards and ladders in the ARPG genre.
Oh, well. We'll get it sometime. By the time every person who's been playing the game and has 18 different Uber builds already is maxed out, we'll get somebody who's already completely invulnerable because of a bug, one-shotting everything, and then I'm not going to do the Gauntlet anyway, so I guess it don't matter.
You see now, your faith in this seems to be growing by the moment.
Bro, I'm so over it. Like, how many times? Every goddamn time I get wrote back in, like, no, D4, it'll be good. Nah, it'll be fine. And it's like, man, it's like, what? This is going to take me away from building my flaming two-handed axe, volcanic fissure build over in PoE. Like, it's just not going to do it. Like, I'm not going to spend 3 weeks on this scorpion pet like I'm playing Animal Crossing. I'm not going to do it, dude. I'm going to play the pet. It'll be all right. And then I'm going to go play PoE again or Last Epoch when it launches. I already know how this is going to play out. And then the leaderboards will come back. I'll come back with a character that's like level 92 because I haven't been playing because I got bored. And then I'm going to realize I can't do the leaderboards anyway. I'm going to quit and go back to PoE. Like, that's exactly what's about to happen.
Have you yourself lost faith in either Blizzard or Diablo 4 or both?
I think that itemization is when I lose faith. If itemization changes are like this, where it's like, okay, we're announcing we're changing itemization just so that we're changing itemization. The itemization changes themselves are trash and the game still has problems. Then like I don't give a fuck anymore. The problem is apathy is death with these games. So when the people still care is when people are annoyed. Like right now, I'm annoyed because I still care. I want the game to be good. I want Blizzard to have a W of Diablo 4, and I want another ARPG in which the seasons come out, I can rotate between them. The perfect scenario for me is Last Epoch, PoE, and D4 all have seasons on alternating schedules. I go between each of them, and I love it every time. Unfortunately, every time Diablo 4 shows up, it's like the ex-girlfriend that annoys you that you can't get away from, and it shows up just to piss you off again. And it's like, I'm not, I would like it to be good, so I still have some hope, but faith and hope are very different things, Rex.
So I with your general sentiment I agree with, and I'm not exactly sure why, and maybe there really is no reason. I think I might be a little bit more positive toward it than you are. One of the things that genuinely surprised me with Blizzard, that I thought it was going to be dog shit, and it really wasn't. It was a lot better than I thought it was like the vampire powers. I thought when the announcement first came out, in the video I posted on YouTube, I said, "Can you explain to me how this is different than the malignant hearts? This is not going to feel different." And I was just completely wrong. They have shown the ability to do something different. Like, I've never seen Blizzard do anything Path of Exile like. People love pets, man. Just the fact that they got a little pet coming for them, I think that's going to appeal to an audience. The casuals aren't going to give a fuck about the Gauntlet. They don't care about racing. The tryhards, a lot of the people in the chat, you and I, we care. A lot of them are not going to care. Now, if they just endlessly do things that are just going to be good for the masses, but not good for anybody with a magnifying glass that's actually paying attention, then yes, like, part of my faith every single season just slowly chips away. And I'm not in the business to hype something up that is not, it's not hype worthy. I don't think it's something that people are actually going to enjoy. I think there's a possibility that this season theme with the pets could be more fun than it appears on paper. But I don't know,
Look,
man.
you could be right. If Diablo 4 is fundamental, like I said in my very first review, is that I don't think this game was made for me. It's made for you. And by you, I was referring to the people sitting on the couch, drinking one beer, playing for an hour a day. And that unfortunately remains true. So I might be highly annoyed because what I would like is a game that will give me 5,000 hours of gameplay, but maybe that's just not what this is. And if that's not what it is, that's fine, because that just means I'm not going to play it. I'll play something else. But it's what I would think is that the game was built upon people that do grind like yourself for, I mean, how many years do you play D3 in a row, my dude? Right? It's built off that community. And so you would think this game would basically cater itself to that style of player, but instead it caters itself to the other style of player who will only show up to see what the pet's about and then leave and buy a skin on the way out the door. That's cool. I mean, you can do that, but that don't mean I'm going to play it for longer than like 50 hours every league at the most. It is what it is, you know?
Yeah, so something about D3, I don't know how much you've played it before, but D3 is, especially now, usually touted or perceived as probably the easiest ARPG to get loot for, probably the most casual friendly. I don't know if you know this, but right after you level up to 70, you have to do some quests, which, I don't know. For me, it doesn't take long, but even for a very casual person, let's say it takes them a few hours, it's just not difficult at all. And once you have done that, you get a full endgame set that gives you like a 10,000% multiplier. And you go from doing, like, there's 16 levels in the game. You go from doing level 2 to level 16 pretty much instantly. So Diablo 4, in terms of how the progression goes of the game, is a lot more like D3 in how easy it is. As you said, you gain all this power and then you do what? And PoE is a lot more like D2, where you are just suffering and grinding, and you know you have to grind forever. There's no thing to where you can get a full set for free. And it appeals to very, very different audiences, man. Everybody who is looking for like the content that PoE has or the grind that Diablo 2 had, it's just not currently present in Diablo 4. And I think something more like Diablo 2, I still think Diablo 2 is the best Diablo game by far ever released.
Well, here's the thing about that. So I played a lot of D3 because I had a call center job where I played Whirlwind Barb, and I would work from home and just take like people yelling at me about their bill, and I would just sit there and play Spin to Win Whirlwind Barb and just farm, okay? But I never played D2, right? So when I went D3 to D4, I was like, oh yeah, this is kind of what I remember. Like, this is Diablo. But then I got into Path of Exile, and Path of Exile basically ruined D4 for me, because I'm like, oh shit, I should have been playing D2 this whole time. Like, I like this idea of super grindy, like get your different items. And, I liked the way the itemization was so much more. And you can kind of build your own style character, etc. And then I started to realize, because I still haven't really played D2 that much, I did the campaign one time. I started to realize what everyone was talking about when I with the complaints and with why people were playing games like Path of Exile, etc. I started to get it. And so then I started playing Path of Exile more and more, and I just got roped in more and more. I'm having more fun every day than I had my first day in Path of Exile, but it's complete opposite with D4. So I don't understand what the in-game goal is if you're only catering to people that will play the game for 20 hours and quit because it's casual, and you're not catering to people that, as they play the game, fall more in love with the game. If the in-game of your game is to quit the game to play a different game, I don't understand what the plan is with D4, is where I'm coming at it with. I'm starting to not understand it, because it's like people that play this game will get sucked into the ARPGs and then want more, and there is no more, and then they're just gonna play something else. So like the end game of this game is to play a different game. I kind of don't get it.
Well, I don't. So this is how I perceive it going, like as a serious conversation. Like if there's a Blizzard board meeting talking about Diablo 4, and they ask themselves, and by the way, the player count of Diablo 4, if you look at the stats, is way higher than people think it is. I think there's still hundreds of thousands of people playing every single day.
Yeah.
I think if you ask the board of Diablo 4, I don't think that they measure success at all about a lot of the things that you and I care about as major blasters. But I think in like a board of directors meeting for Path of Exile, that's definitely what they're trying to cater toward. It's much more of a game built for us. I think if they're sitting down at the board of directors and saying they have a new season coming out, their pets, you can level them up, it gives you a lot of powers, and the leaderboards are coming later, but the casuals don't really care about the leaderboards, and we got some really cool new skins in the shop, and this and that and this and that. I would imagine that the people at the board of directors are perfectly fine with that, and they say that that's okay. I think in one of the campfires, I don't know if it was a campfire or where it was, but I think they made some kind of comment that Diablo 4 will never become this insanely difficult, super grindy game. But then the interesting thing is, with the delay of the Gauntlet, what has it become? Well, the only way that you have a chance is to do level 100, level up all of the glyphs to 21, and then you need to kill Duriel 24 hours a day, or have someone feed you mats 24 hours a day. As you said, look for the most bugged build, and then you need to do that until the day launches and hope that you hit the Shaco and the Doombringer and the Grandfather or whatever. I mean, it's become a grindy game of stuff that isn't even fun to grind. So it's
I don't know, man. It's hard for me because what I see is I see them reading comments, reading feedback, and directly attempting to implement that feedback. Like, for instance, everyone is spamming, we need in-game and itemization. What do? They go up in BlizzCon stage and they literally spam the word in-game so many times to let you know that they're listening to what you're saying. So if they had this plan of like, okay, look, Diablo is not going to be what you think it's going to be. It is going to be a different style of game. We're going for the Castle Clashers audience. Then so be it. But that's not what they seem to me like. They don't know what kind of game they actually want to make, and instead they're listening to the feedback. So it's hard for me to like look at it and be like, you know what? They have their own plan. It's not made for sweat lords like me. That's fine. I'll enjoy the game for what it is. When they listen to sweat lords like us and then they implement that feedback into the game, why would they move that direction if that's not the audience they are attempting to acquire? It's sort of confusing for me. So what I see is I don't see a game that actually has a plan. Like I see them implementing feedback on a 3 to 6 month out scale as they're hearing the feedback. So they go back, they read Reddit, they listen to our YouTube ranty videos and everyone else in the community, and they say, okay, what we need to fix. We have to fix items. Everyone hates items. Let's fix items. Okay, give us 6 months, we'll fix items. And by then it's going to be, okay, there's a new complaint. We'll do 6 months later. But if they had their own plan, they would just say, no, itemization is staying because of these reasons, and in-game is going to be something different. We have our own plan. But that's not what I hear. I hear them attempting to implement what they think the people want at the same time. So it's confusing for me that we get these feedback directly recognized and then mentioned and stated, we hear your feedback, we want to add in-game, we want to add the things that the people are asking, but then we at the same time we get a pet and the Gauntlet. So I don't know, man. I want to be positive. I want to be like, all right, you know, D4 save, D4 can be good and all that. But then every time I see something like the leaderboard cancel, then it's like, all right, well, once again, the season's bumming me out.
I think their overall direction and leadership of Diablo 4 has changed multiple times. I think that's actually been documented, and people have done videos about who is left and da 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 da. I think it has had a little bit of an identity crisis. But again, if I go back to the boardroom, let's say that that's happening. Let's say Diablo 4 launches and okay, it sold a bunch of copies, but the content creators are saying this, the numbers and the data are telling us this. We want to do all these end game things, but we don't have the time to do that, da 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 da. If you're in the boardroom and you're trying to make some decisions, the things that will make you money are appealing to the masses, which is, you know, the cool pet, come play for a week and get a battle pass, da 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 da. But another thing about it is, in my opinion, it's much easier to make a game for the masses. It's much easier to make something that's very simple and fun and very rewarding versus crafting this intricate path of progression which feels difficult but feels so rewarding, and putting in these end game things which drop in these certain ways. You know, one thing that I have come to appreciate in the last year or so playing Diablo 4 that I think I just took for granted with other games in the past is it's not just the fact that you put a super end game a chase item into the game. A lot of it is how you acquire it. So when I think of like Diablo 2, if you're trying to make an enigma, how in the F are you going to find a jaw and a bear rune? Well, you're going to have to do some very, very specific blasting, but you can farm anywhere that you want. And for some reason, that felt very fun and rewarding. PoE does a very good job of it. Even in this season that's so juicing, when you find a Mage Blood or a Headhunter, it feels like $1,000,000. In my opinion, I don't know how retail WoW is working right now. The old school WoW did a great job of it. Bro, when I was going through the endgame raids, Sunwell or Black Temple, you go once a week. You go with all your friends and you're just praying that your item drops. And sometimes there's another class or another player that's the same class as you. So you have to share the wealth. But when you finally get that piece, it makes you feel like $1,000,000. Just the fact that the Shaco exists, but you put it behind Duriel and it's not fun to endlessly kill him, makes me appreciate the whole design process of how do you map it out to how you acquire it as well. So if they're still having an identity crisis, man, I am not going to be surprised if they shift the development toward a more casual audience even further. This would be probably a good campfire question for them, like not even a malicious question, just I'm honestly wondering, how does the team feel about the direction of the game? I'm not talking about specifics. I'm not talking about fixing itemization. I'm not talking about excited that the expansion comes out with a new class. Just at the high level, how does the team envision Diablo 4 evolving, and what kind of player is Diablo 4 made for?
Yeah, that'd be an interesting question. I would love to see the answer to that. Because if the answer is the game is not made for me, then that's okay. I just need to know that, because that's what I'm seeing every time, which means when I come back and I look for things that are things I would like, and then it's not there, I won't constantly be surprised, because I know it's not made for my type of player that has no life, that's going to sit here and grind the game as if it's my job, because it is. And that's okay. Like, if that's not what it is, then that's okay. But it feels to me like it's attempting to be that still. It's attempting to be a no-life, grindy, sweat lord type of game. So
You're getting that vibe from Diablo 4.
I'm still am, because itemization changes, the feedback that's being sent is being listened to. They constantly talk about in-game. It's their number one point. And in terms of in-game, most of the stuff that's in the game right now, most players will not do. A lot of players, in fact, most players could do it if they wanted to. You can literally one-hit Lilith, but most players will not do it. And you could argue that's because the retention of the game is not as enjoyable, so therefore the retention isn't there. But most players won't complete it. So there's enough content for the average person who picks up a game, plays it a little bit, in their college dorm with their buddy or something, the same way that I play D3 super casually. There's enough content for that. But if they are attempting to make it more than that, make it the type of game where it's like a main game that people play, not just for the week launch of the season, then that requires in-game, which is basically what they constantly state over and over and over again. So what I feel is like the communication is saying, hey, hardcore players, we hear you. We want to add more of the hardcore in-game itemization, the Gauntlet, leaderboards. We want to add more of that stuff, because that's what they keep saying. But then, see, a new season comes in, it's a literal pet. And I'm not saying I hate the pet. I like the support. I think that's a cool idea. But I feel like these seasons are basically, they're testing ideas to see if they should add them to the core game or not. And it doesn't feel like the actual game is being built. It feels like, hey, AOZ, let's add AOZ to the game. We'll call it content for the season. Let's add it to the game in order to see if it's well received. If it's well received, we'll add it into the core game. It seems like they're always hedging their bets and trying to figure out what they actually need to add to the game and what will satisfy the people for quote unquote in-game. AOZ isn't enough for me, in my opinion. In fact, it was one of the most boring things I've ever played in the game. So the Gauntlet and the leaderboard, I was kind of hoping would be a little bit of an answer, at least for the season portion of it. And then if it's well enough implemented, it would give me enough copium to be able to be like, okay, well, they're working on in-game. This is a taste of it. A couple more of these and we're good. But, it's not here yet. So it's delayed. It's probably the worst possible time to delay it. And then if I log in, it's literally only for this pet, because there's nothing else in the game. If I log in, it's just to play with the Scorpion. That's the entire season, my dude.
Yeah, so about hedging the bets, about hedging the bets and trying stuff out before they actually implement it into the game. I am almost certain that the timing of this is not a coincidence. Testing the powers of a pet that, or yeah, testing the power levels and the favorability of a pet with you and doing damage and stuff like that. Because the leak for the expansion said that one of the features that the expansion will bring are followers. So this is about 9 months ahead, 10 months ahead, or whatever of that expansion. This is probably going to give them some very nice learnings for their expansion when they inevitably release the followers that they haven't announced. Everything else in that leak was accurate. So we can only, I'm assuming that that leak will be true as well. So that's something that they're definitely testing. I agree with you. One thing for me, and maybe I have a different opinion on it, but I don't see where Blizzard is making Diablo 4 for sweat lords with almost anything that they do. For example, when they announced that itemization is going to be revamped, and simultaneously I think they said something to the effect of, hey, we don't know if you need loot filters after our itemization revamp, and they even meme themselves the damage on Tuesday thing. That to me, that itemization revamp does not scream to me endgame sweat lord crafting. It screams to me they're going to simplify the stats. It's going to be plus to all stats and damage and attack speed and crit and elemental damage. To me, I can't really think of anything that they've done that has been really for the sweat lords, except for the abattoir that didn't really go very well. When they released Duriel, even for a casual player, if you have a decent build, is a pretty easy kill for almost anybody. 1,000 times easier than Lilith. He drops all the best loot in the game that was previously inaccessible. I mean, I'm not saying that was the wrong decision. It was the right decision, but that also was not a sweat lord move. All you got to do is do a Helltide and do this and that. You can go kill a free boss.
So is your take then that you think they're actually making this game like to be the casual ARPG on the market, while at the same time attempting to placate the people who are still playing the game that are not that audience? Do you think that's kind of the move where they're doubling down on the casual side of it? They're like, here's a pet.
I would say my opinion is pretty close to what you said. Yes, I think Blizzard's most core value that they're going for is it needs to be fun and enjoyable for the masses. And a lot of what the sweat lords, people think like you and I are aliens compared to them. I'm a dad. I have 38 jobs. I have 17 kids, and I get to play for 3 minutes a month. And Rax sits there in his chair in his piece of shit blue hoodie, and I hate him. And everything that he thinks about the game is nothing that I think about the game. It is true that we have very different experiences. At times we have very different wants for the game, but people think that we're aliens. We can't possibly agree on anything when there's a lot of things we can easily agree on. Like we don't have enough stash space, and farming Duriel all day is not fun, and the damage on Tuesdays is not fun. There's a lot of feedback that Blizzard can take away from the sweat lords that just make everything better, which they're trying to implement, as you said, in like a knee-jerk fashion without always like a very detailed, well thought out roadmap, I think, because of their leadership changes. And I do think that they would like to make some endgame stuff to make it exciting, but I don't think that's their top priority at all. That's not the feeling that I get. Is that not how you're feeling? Is that not the feeling that you have?
Well, I think the actions. I think the actions give me that feeling. I think the words give me a different feeling. I think when they go up there and they say in game, in game, in game, itemization, 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 I hear that and I think they're hearing what we're saying in terms of there's not enough things to do. But then the actions are here's a pet, and I'm sorry, but like that's not in game. That's literally the start of the game. The seasonal quest line last time took about 15 minutes. You beat that thing. Okay, I'm exaggerating, but it's a few hours. You beat the seasonal quest line, you're done. You go farm your powers, you're done. There's the season. Hearts you literally got like 30 minutes into the thing, you'll have some of your hearts. So the seasonal editions, the actions are proving what you are saying correct. The words that I hear, and I take them at their words, seem to be the opposite. But in terms of what is smarter for them to do, probably casual. I mean, why would you compete with other Sweatlord games when you can make the entry level point for more people? I get the logic. I can't hate on that logic, especially because it probably is an overwhelming success when they look at the internal data. So I can't hate on that. And they probably actually don't give too much of a fuck about people saying otherwise when the numbers prove them fine on their internals. I can't hate on that. I get it. But that doesn't mean I'm going to play the game, you know? And so I don't know how much people like me and you actually have an impact on these games at all. I'd say probably fairly minorly, but I know that when I look at this, I'll be like, I would test out the pet. I would try the pet, and then I will quit till the gauntlet's here. I will go back and try the gauntlet, and hopefully the hype is still there enough that I actually care about the gauntlet. That's what I think when I look at this. Now, if that is detrimental to their game, probably not. I'm just one dude sitting in Alaska. But if you're asking me, when it comes to someone like me, at least, and I see other comments, and I'm reading the comments right now on my YouTube video I just put out, everyone's roasting this. And I don't know if that's just because it's the YouTube meta. I don't know if that's just because the people that are more vocal tend to be the people that are negative, or I don't know if that's how everyone feels. But I don't have that data to be able to tell you. All I can tell you is the people I talk to and the gameplay that I play makes me not want to play it. And that's all I have to work on. I think you're right about the actions are speaking to casuals, but the words I had heard were speaking not to casuals.
Yeah, I mean, I think obviously they would like to strike a perfect balance of both. They would like to make the perfect game, like every company would like to do, which is great for the casuals and great for the in-game sweat lords. I will double down on what I said. I think this is pretty logical that it's probably significantly harder to design a game for the sweat lords and make it feel very rewarding and try to get them hooked on the game. So when you're pressed for time, pressed for resources, and you just got to get something out that is going to be functional and work, I think you just go the route of making something for the masses, and everything for the super endgame players can just get pushed back. Some content creators may not like it who want to play 15 hours a day. That's the 1% of the 1%. Whatever, they can make their YouTube videos, whatever, it doesn't matter. And your revenue will probably be, I would guess, close to the same, because all the casuals that come in and buy the battle passes will like the pets. They'll like the little patch notes, which we'll see. I mean, I guess we'll see it. People are going to like the patch notes. I think we might see a massive Hoda nerf, overpower nerf, ball lightning nerf. We'll see how much people like that. Even though can't fault Blizzard for it, they need to implement it into the game, but that's not gonna win everybody over. To your point about how much impact do we have on the game, I agree with you. I really don't know the answer, but I would agree it's minimal, if close to nothing. Another thing about it is, I don't think a lot of these companies have the ability to pivot on anything quickly anyway. Usually when we give feedback, we, like, for example, because there's no PTR here, they're just going to launch the season and something could be really bugged. You snapshot this, you do that, this synergizes with this accidentally buffs this 10 times over, and, well, now you have the choice of let people play this super bugged build, or you fix it and piss everybody off who leveled up one character based around this glitch. PoE does no PTR, and that's fine, but I think PoE is very, very quick to shut down these massive, like they're watching these massive problems. I've never gotten the feeling that Blizzard can pivot very quickly on these, although to their credit, they did fix the abattoir pretty quickly. They fixed that within a few days, so that was nice. But yeah, I don't know. I'm kind of surprised. If they do a PTR, they've never invited me to it. Kind of surprised they don't have people go in and test some of the stuff that I think would help a lot of these go a lot smoother, man.
I would assume they're worried about leaks, you know? You have everyone that knows everything, and then one or two people leak it or something, and then they have another PR storm that's 2 months ahead of the season release, which is just like, season 3 is only a pet, and then you have to deal with that PR for a while in a time where they're already struggling with PR. I can understand the risk versus reward proposition from their side of things. At least that would make sense to me. I'm curious, though, obviously I'm mid on the season 3. I'm curious what you're thinking. Is this exciting you? I mean, from your standpoint, I know we talked about this game's probably more for the casual audience, and they're probably doing a good job for the casuals. But from where you're sitting, me and you have both been PoE converts. We've been grinding the game a lot. I've seen clips of you seem like you're really enjoying the game. I know I'm really enjoying the game. Is this exciting you? Is this going to make you play for a while? What are you thinking?
So, based upon a lot of the comments that I've read and some of the sentiments, I would say my opinion is a little bit more favorable than others. So we've already talked about a lot of the bad stuff. I think some of these things might actually be pretty cool. So the thing that is making me excited for it is these combinations of these supports for the pet. Again, if I had a PTR, I could work some magic here and figure out a lot of things. But just looking at some of the combinations of these powers, I think might enable some pretty incredible builds, or even some builds that already exist that maybe take a lot of points in like resource generation, for example, might be able to take them out. Another example is one of the pet's attacks has the ability to make the monsters burn. Well, a lot of sorcerer builds take an entire enchantment slot just to make the monsters burn. Well, now that you get that for free, not only can you take all of the passives for burning, but now you can get an entire extra enchantment slot, which is a massive buff. And I do think there's going to be some really cute combinations for the theory crafters that will actually either make new builds or edit the current builds, if not only to do more damage, to have a way higher quality of life. Like your pet tanks for you and you have infinite mana, da-da-da-da-da. It goes back to your point of, but for what, Rax? Okay, you theory craft this pet. Okay, you made this infinite teleport, everything is burning, million enchantment slot, chain lightning sorcerer that can never run out of mana, that one-shots everything. And then you're going to take that and go do what? You're right. There's nothing to go do with it. But I would enjoy the process as a loser, as a theory crafter, of creating these builds for people. Like, have you tried this Necro build? This Bone Spear build is completely broken with this pet combination. Watch this guy do this. Go try this. Is it something that's going to, give you prolonged enjoyment for 3 months for the entire season? No. But it might give you a chance to theory craft some really nice builds for the Gauntlet, which would be cool if it would come out in the beginning so we could see the progression of the builds as they went along. But yeah, I think the supports here make me kind of excited for the season from the theory crafting part of it.
You like putting together builds, and this will obviously add more options to that, yeah. But this is going to mix things up for the. I wonder if it's the type of situation where this is kind of how the seasons will go, where we have the playground that is the open world and the nightmare dungeons, etc. And then they just mix up the way you play in the playground instead of adding like new swings to the playground. It's okay, well, here's new ways to interact with what's already there. It's kind of what seems to be going on here.
Yep,
I guess
and
Uber Durio is new though. Things like that are new.
yeah, and another thing is people are telling me that this PC Gamer article, have you looked at this yet?
No, let me pull that up.
Excuse me. The PC Gamer article has answers to our questions, some of the answers to our questions. So let's look at this for a second here. So your Seneschal can't die, and it scales with your character's power. So you don't want to
Okay.
get to a point where your Seneschal is useless. That doesn't exactly answer my question of does the Seneschal obtain like your powers? Like, is it just it scales off of your attack power and your health, or if you get an ability that gives you 50% more crit, do they get 50% more crit?
Here's an interesting thing too that's new is guaranteed item power of 925 drops in various activities after level 75, including tier 90 plus nightmare dungeons.
Yep, I
So
knew that one. Wait, 6 new unique items.
we didn't see that anywhere, and I just saw that too. I didn't. The new uniques could be interesting.
Dude, I why is the best source of information on the patch notes not the Blizzard blog?
Maybe there's the future block. Okay, here, can I get my copium box for a moment? So maybe what's going to happen here is this gauntlet will be available in more details in the future blog. Maybe we're about to get a blog post like on the 18th. Or like a more detailed follow-up, sooner rather than later, that's going to give us details. And like the reason the Gauntlet's not coming out is because of this really good news piece, and the Gauntlet will be available, 1 week after launch or something. And then it's kind of a hype of everyone's got a week to get through it. That's okay. I'm trying.
I give that a 0% chance of happening.
Yeah.
A zero.
Yeah. Well, here's you ready for my real copium? Is that druids actually have a pet now that does something.
Hey, do you know Criparian? DM?
Love Crip. I watched him for a year straight on Hearthstone. Why?
So did I. Crip, do you want to join the call with us? You want to jump on a call and give us your thoughts?
Love to hear that.
Let's see if Crip is available. He's in and out doing errands. All right.
Good try. He shot your shot.
Ooh,
Good game next time, Chief.
Try. The goat is here.
Well,
but back to my question. I'm sorry. Why is there more information in the PC Gamer article than in the blog post?
Yeah, if there's 6 new unique items, that should be in the post.
I
guess we didn't get.
Is
the
there like a
legendary
sponsorship here, like PC Gamer, like they have a deal where I don't get it. Is this like a lot of this stuff is super important and it's not even in it unless I missed it, but I read it a few times, but I've proven over the years that I can't read, but they're
saving it for the campfire chat, bro. They're saving it for the campfire chat, I guarantee you. So they have some positive news for the campfire, which is you get the unfortunate responses out of the way now, which is what's happening with us. And then after that, you go to the campfire chat and you have something positive. So you get all the negativity out of the way, and then you're like, by the way, new legendary items, which we knew was coming. I mean, legendary seasons with the aspects, and then you have the uniques. I mean, this makes sense to me. People say you need to go to the forums. Okay. Do we go to the forums? Hold on.
Okay, now we're here.
How do we? All right. Where's the forums? I never use the forums.
You know what
dude.
these seasonal dungeons kind of remind me of? They remind me of the Trials of Ascendancy. Now that I see this picture. Does this look like
The labs.
Trials of Ascendancy to you guys? Yeah, so I'm on the diablo4.blizzard.com/upcoming. And I got this. I can paste it in the chat. Here. This looks like the Trials of Ascendancy.
Okay, I must be missing something because I went to the forums and I just see a link back to the other thing. Let me pull up what you're talking about.
Yeah. It would be so nice if we could click on these images and make them bigger.
So it says in-game boss update. But I click on it, it just says we get more sigils for the beast device. Okay.
Okay, now here it gives you even more info and says that there's 6 new uniques and 7 new legendaries. Endgame boss update.
Okay, well that's cool.
Well, whatever you do, don't click it and read it.
Yeah, no, it just says new sigils for the beast device. It's like in-game boss update, but it's like a singular boss, and you can just do the one more than no one does anyway.
I told you not to click it, DM.
Yeah, well, I had already read it. You didn't warn me fast enough there, buddy.
It's Last Epoch all over again.
Well, Last Epoch's going to do pretty good in February. I think they should put at the bottom of the patch notes like, we didn't want to derail the hype of Last Epoch launch, so we're delaying the Gauntlet.
Jesus Christ. You hate Blizzard, don't you?
No, I'll be honest. I was just hoping for something.
Sorry.
My cat is like freaking out right now.
So, did it answer anywhere? You currently get enough of the little, what are they called, ashes, to max all of your blessings, right?
Yeah.
So
correct.
now they have added new blessings.
Yeah, I saw that. The new urns, yeah. Which are related to the season no mechanic.
Okay, so do these new ones replace the old ones and it's still the same total number?
It's a good question.
Or
it says 3 new, but they didn't say anything about removing the old ones. So maybe you have to choose.
Yeah.
It says the bonuses gained from the 5 season blessings only last to the end. So there's 3 new ones, but it says 5 total. So then it must be keeping 2 and adding these 3 that's replacing something else.
Okay. So it's the XP gain, the longer shrine stays, and 3 for the actual season. Okay, so they're rotating them. Okay, I understand. A clockwork mount. Compare the battle passes.
I'm trying to find the new legendary aspects. I'm doing some digging. And so far I've been unsuccessful.
They'll probably announce them in the blog post. Well, after 3 different sources, the blog post, the upcoming, and the PC Gamer article, I think we're starting to piece together what's going on here.
I would think they just really want that January 18th live stream to be popping, so they're having some info for that. I mean, that's the thing that makes sense to me, I guess.
I mean, if they wanted the campfire to be popping, why didn't they release this blog post after the thing? Make the whole thing a major announcement.
Fair point, Rex. Fair point.
If that was the strategy, I think you could have built so much more hype for it if you would have done the campfire chat first.
And show a big release on the live with some gameplay footage.
Yeah, imagine like here's Darth microtransaction. We gave him a level 100 bear druid, and let him pick his pet. Watch him do this Nightmare Dungeon 100, and he can describe to you what powers he picked for his pet. Watch this one. Watch DM go do a vault. Probably would have. I made this mistake last time, so I'm not stupid enough to make the same mistake again. Last time I said the vampire powers look exactly like the malignant hearts, and it's going to be dog shit. The vampire powers were a lot better than the malignant hearts. Was a lot of fun to go murder all the vampires and level up your powers. They made a huge difference. Chemo made a huge difference leveling up, and the metamorphosis and whatever it was to apply the curses actually gave a little bit of a different gameplay with Tybalt's will and stuff. It was better than I gave it credit for. I think
it could be this. I'm being a little harsh, to be fair, on the pet thing. I actually do like the pet part of it because of what you're talking about with the support gyms. I think I'm just more salty. There's not more to it than that the Gauntlet's delayed. But like, I actually do think the pet is cool. I'm not shitting on the pet. I just wish it was not season of the pet. I thought it was season of the Gauntlet, but then it's like a bait and switch, and the Gauntlet's incoming in a bit. So I'm just annoyed by that. But nah, the support gym part, if it's a beta test for like, hey, we're gonna add support gyms into Diablo 4, cool. Support gyms are one of the coolest parts of Path of Exile.
You know, one thing that genuinely surprises me. It wasn't a perfect system, and there needs to be various updates to it in different areas. But Blizzard already made one of the greatest, in my opinion, progression systems, crafting systems ever in an ARPG, rune words. Again, they're not perfect. There's some things you need to change. If you remember, the original idea of Diablo 4 was to bring back runes, but they were completely different. Like, it was a completely different system with than the old rune words, with the same name, and it was severely nerfed. Like, some runes were going to be prefix runes, some runes were going to be suffix runes, and you could only socket 2 runes into an item. They were going with that, and then they completely changed their mind, and then they completely changed their mind again, and then they launched with this itemization, and then they said they're redoing itemization completely in season 4. What I would like to do is, can I call a timeout here? Can we call it
timeout?
Timeout. Let's open up fucking Diablo 2, and let's put the runeword system on a whiteboard, and let's write down the 10,000 things that are great about it, and let's write down the 40 things that are bad about it. Let's try to minimize the bad things. Let's take the good things and further double down on them or make them even better with some new twists, and put it in the goddamn fucking game. I don't fucking understand. You already made one of the greatest things ever. Wait, can you explain to me how that was not the course of action the entire time? I don't understand.
Let me ask you a question, Rax. I'm gonna hit you with a real stumper here. Why would crafting save the game with detailed crafting if the items for crafting are these still boring ones? I think the problem is they can't add crafting to the game until they change itemization entirely, and then you can craft items that actually matter. Imagine spending like 30 hours to farm currency to do a Path of Exile style crafting just to get damage on Tuesdays because it's good stat. Like, I think they have to fix the stat lines first. Crafting would be a huge W, but I don't know how they do that without adding like actual items into the game. Also, speaking of items, so a little bird told me that I can say this. They are releasing the legendary aspects today.
Okay.
Don't have an ETA on it, but we will get that info here shortly.
So, first of all, to your question, I completely agree with you. First, you need to fix the base itemization and then implement crafting on top of it. That is 100% for the moment that we are sitting here for the order of operations. That is the only way that you can do it. What I'm speaking about is why wasn't this the idea from the first day that you were creating Diablo 4? My question is, why didn't they have this idea or this plan from the very first day? Why they wanted to do runes and rune words, but when they announced it, I can go back 5 years and look at the blog post or whatever. They completely changed it, and everyone was so mad. And then they just scrapped the entire thing. And then here's the thing for me, DM. When the game launches and Blizzard says we need to do an itemization revamp, that is admitting that something has gone wrong, right? They have not delivered on their vision for the game. So, even after all those years of development and the launch, and we'll see on season 4, we still haven't hit the vision of, or maybe we don't even know what the vision is for what itemization should be in Diablo 4. And that's pretty devastating, man. I don't know if there could be a worse problem, because itemization is the entire reason to play an ARPG, is it not?
I mean, let me actually try to answer your question fairly. So when I log into Path of Exile, what am I trying to do? I'm trying to make my character stronger. What are the ways to do that? Well, I have skill trees, I have lab ascendancies, and I have items. Those are the ones that immediately come to my mind. Now, we don't have ascendancies in Diablo 4, we just have a class. We have levels which go to the skill tree, so we have that, admittedly in a smaller way, but we do have that. And then we have basically the items that you copy paste the same ones, you're bad. So the question for me is not what is the main point to play the game. It's how do I make my character stronger? And the way that we typically make our character stronger in these games boil down to items, because that's what takes the longest to acquire. Most time you're going to hit level 100 or whatever before you have finished creating your items. So itemization ends up being the bottleneck in which we are grinding in basically any ARPG, because in other ARPGs the items themselves have so many different stats that you can acquire that min-maxing a perfect item is something that rarely happens. For instance, one man on the left just came to my stream when he raided the other day and said he now has the best ring on the server for his build. He just got a better ring, and that was a big deal because he competed with another guy to get a better ring. That stuff doesn't happen in Diablo 4 because everyone has the same items. So there's not this huge level of variance within items that increases the bottleneck. So in Diablo, the bottleneck actually isn't getting the items at all. You end up getting the items very easy. I remember on my druid, I completed my build at level 38 minus the Ubers. And so I was just like, well, I guess I'm done. And now I have to get 62 levels and then the game's over. And that's basically what happened for me. So itemization ends up being the reason that people play the game, but the real reason is to get their character stronger.
Yeah, and one major difference, if we're making a direct comparison from PoE to Diablo, is when I hit level 50, so just talking only about the skill tree. When I hit level 50, my build, like the buttons that I press, is done in Diablo 4. You need to build out your Paragon board. That for the rest of the time you get endgame Paragon stats, which is fine. But the actual way that I build my character is pretty much set in stone. There will be very few changes later on. Maybe I get a unique here or there, and I swap a couple passive points. I have played, well, I played multiple characters, but I played the vast majority of my time on one character. I started as a rain of arrows to get through the campaign. Then I switched to lightning arrow. Then I switched to tornado shot. And then you could even say I switched to tornado shot version 2. The amount of time that I have had to spend, even though my tree is fundamentally close to the same, sitting there and meticulously theory crafting, how do I get, with my new gear, spell suppression capped? How can I
Exactly.
reroute 3 or 4 points to get 7% more damage? But then
Exactly.
there's another layer of it though, which is a whole new endgame system, is items are attached to the skill tree. Do you have any idea how much of a power increase I got when I spent uh, probably more than a mirror of currency on my, I think it's called Forbidden Flame, Forbidden Flesh jewels, that which was taken. Um, all these my charms with additional projectiles. There was, and then every time I did that, then I would say, okay, I got these 2 legendary jewels, but I lost immunity to corrupted blood, which is unacceptable. So I have to
And
go buy this cluster jewel that grants me corrupted blood immunity implicit, which costs me 100 divines, but I have to keep playing to get this power increase. So yeah, I mean, to me, even something like the skill tree, like the Paragon board, does have a little bit of complexity to it. It's not nothing, but to me, it's very different. It's completely different to me.
looking at looking at the skill tree in PoE and trying to figure out what to do is how I spend entirely too much of my time in the game. I love it because of the variations in which can be acquired by different classes. The problem that I have is everything in D4 is very synergistic to the point of obvious. So it's okay, let me go down this skill tree, go down this items, and the build is built for you, basically, by the end of it. There's not a lot of like variance in the gameplay. A lot of the people have a very same journey, which I think is sort of what's trying to be solved with the itemization. Looking at these, though, you know what I'm realizing, though, looking at this, I'm trying to think like, okay, so what is actually the solution? You know what I'm realizing is, let's say all of these things stack. Let's say you had the malignant hearts, okay, and that mechanic was still there, and it got implemented in the sockets of gear, one of which you could choose to have that power. Then season 2 with the vampire powers come, and it's okay, vampire powers are part of your character and part you can do. Then this season 3 comes, and now we have these pets that are part of it. If we had all of these to worry about, the depth of the game gets actually more depth fairly quickly. But in season 3, we lose vampire powers. Malignant hearts aren't a thing, so it's hyper focused on just this pet, which means it's the season of the pet. But if this was just one more thing that we were building out, it's actually not. It over the seasons you start to build on it, but we lose out on new mechanics in the game to replace it with another somewhat similar mechanic. So it kind of always ends up like you're focusing on just the one mechanic. I wonder if stacking these mechanics might actually build the depth of the game faster. And then what they do is, instead of like, okay, we need to balance the items around the monsters, they just do it the other way, where they stack all the mechanics to see, okay, everyone's this strong. Now let's make bosses that are difficult for that type of build or difficult for that type of power level. I don't know if it'd be possible to balance all that with bugs and all that stuff, but it's it feels like we're building these mechanics for like 3 months, and then the core of the game stays exactly the same. You know what I mean?
Yeah, so they did bring back Malignant Hearts, kind of. They brought back the rings. They picked a couple of powers, or one power from every class that was really loved, and they brought that back. So that's kind of a way to bring back Malignant Hearts. No news on vampire powers continuing, and if at nothing else, the leak of the followers in the expansion, we will get some kind of followers in the future. The problem for me, DM, is actually a point that you brought up earlier. Yes, it gives us depth in the game if we had to build out the pet, if we have to build out the vampire powers to make a super strong character. But in order for that to be implemented into the game successfully, you would have to answer the question, for what? I have a full
Yeah.
character with my Varshan ring and I farmed all of my vampiric powers with metamorphosis into bolts, and I have my fully powered pet. And now instead of one-shotting Duriel, I'm gonna. Oh no, wait! I'm still gonna one-shot him. To do what? Like
And that's the core issue that we've been complaining about since day one, and that's why I thought that's what they were adding, because they consistently, every single time they do an interview or go on stage, you know, and I love to hear it because it sounded like communication when they say in-game, in-game, in-game. But you know, I'm sorry that this pet is not in-game. This is a pet for early to mid-game, which is cool. I don't hate the pet, but it's not going to make me stay in the game longer than season 2 made me stay in the game. By the way, I like season 2. Like, I actually thought season 2 was a staunch upgrade over season 1, in my own personal opinion. All right, but season 3 is going to make me play as long as season 2 did. The goal should be to play longer each season.
Yeah, and one thing I want to clarify on about the comment I made earlier about the skill tree difference. I was like drawing a comparison to how much more complicated and in-depth the PoE tree is, like the journey with your build, than Diablo 4. Wouldn't say that that is strictly better. And it's certainly not better for most casual players, which is an important part of the gaming community. So I'm not here saying that Diablo 4 just does everything wrong and they're just complete failures and, oh, Diablo 4 should just make another PoE. No, it should be a different game, and that's fine. But I think there's probably some kind of middle ground here where most people do not want to do what DM says that he loves to do. Most people don't like to sit there, and they don't have the time to sit there all day and stare at your tree and get everything correct. Most people wouldn't even realize in PoE that removing a certain jewel for a better jewel bricks your guy in some other way. For example, how many times, DM, as a new player, have you switched a gem around, upgraded a gem, switched a node in your passive tree, and all of a sudden didn't have enough int or strength to wear some of your items, and you had to sit there for 15 minutes trying to figure out where the hell did I lose these stats? You know, casual players do not want to deal with this, so it's not like
I'm not mad at I'm not mad at casual players having an ARPG. I'm upset that both casual players and hardcore players don't have the same RPG, the ARPG to play. I would argue that Path of Exile is not casual friendly, but that doesn't mean it's not a good game for casuals. Casuals can play AR Path of Exile and they can enjoy Path of Exile. They're just not going to enjoy it on the same level as someone that's got 30 hours a day to play. So for me, it's like, I completely understand and agree with your point, but Path of Exile is fundamentally an amazing fucking game for anyone who picks it up. And it depends upon how much they want to engage with it. But the game itself is good. You just have to get into it and actually play the game. So I'm cool with this, but like I say, Castle Clashers also exist on the Xbox Arcade. You can just play that too. I'm not mad at that game existing either, but it's Diablo, it's an ARPG, and I would think the people that play it want depth. And, you know, that's kind of where I come at it with, and I don't know. It just kind of it makes me hope that the in-game that's added with the Gauntlet is, if the Gauntlet's really good, man, it could actually be like not that bad. Like if the Gauntlet's good, maybe I'm back to my copium again here, but like if the Gauntlet's good, we still haven't seen the Gauntlet, right? Like, am I mistaken to see we've seen no gameplay of the Gauntlet? Could be cool.
Gauntlet could be cool. I've learned to, again, I can't say this enough times. I've learned on the vampire theme to not judge it before I try it. I think the pets will be pretty cool. I know some people that play PoE casually that do enjoy the game. I just made a beginner guide for casuals, and a lot more people watch that video than I thought they were going to. And a lot of those people don't have all day to play. I definitely still double down on the fact that PoE has got to be one of the least friendly games for casuals. it takes so long just to get through the acts 1 to 10 that the fact that most casuals, I think Chris Wilson in an interview said 87% of the people that download Path of Exile and log into a character do not finish Act 1.
Yeah, it's true.
So
unfortunately, that's true.
this is one thing I'm sorry, but I'm just not gonna let Path of Exile off the hook here. Your game, I do not think, is casual friendly. So that doesn't mean that there don't exist casuals that enjoy it, but in the grand scheme of things, Diablo 4 is casual friendly. Diablo 3 is maybe the most casual friendly game ever made because they give you a full set in 2 seconds. PoE is not casual friendly.
Maybe that's just what it is. Maybe it's the type of thing where it's like, oh well, that's what it is. It's a game designed for that type of player, which is sort of my original take on the game. And then you hear the updates that they state, and I was thinking, okay, well maybe they're making it for the other type of community because that's what it seemed like. But the answer is no. It's just kind of originally what everyone thought with D4, which is not the end of the world, I guess. I wonder if Last Epoch's gonna be more in the middle. You think Last Epoch's casual friendly enough? Because we both played that one through the campaign. It seemed like it was fairly easy to learn, but had a decent amount of depth with it.
I think Last Epoch is pretty easy to pick up. People will find it overwhelming that people might find it initially overwhelming that every skill has a tree, an entire tree. And also when you're leveling up your points, you get multiple options. You like ascend, and then you have to pick between where you would put your points. Another decision that you have to make. And then a lot of people, the crafting system is, in my opinion, very easy to learn and very easy to use. But I think some people might have a problem just initially engaging with it and for fear of like messing something up. But in general, if people can get past those relatively small things, I think people are really going to enjoy Last Epoch and they're going to enjoy the process of learning. I think PoE just seems so daunting, and you finally get something set up and then you have to change it all. Oh no, you made this mistake, so you lost 20% of your damage and you lost immunity to corrupted blood because you thought this was an upgrade, but you actually bricked your characters, so now we have to redo us. Yeah, download POB. Yeah, no, dude.
Yeah.
Trust me, POB is really easy. Yeah, just click these 17 buttons.
No,
No,
you're
it's not
you're
calculating
right.
correctly. No, include in total DPS. Da da da. No, it's easy, man. Trust me. It's just a bunch of fucking bullshit.
No, you're right. I'm just on my Path of Exile high because the game's fucking good. But no, you're actually completely correct on this point. It's not friendly for casuals, and I've ran into multiple times where I fucked up my character by doing something dumb, and then basically there's 13 different programs you have to install, and each one of them has their own learning curve. And then there's PoE Ninja, and there's Awaken PoE Trade, there's Path of Building, and there's the Discord or whatever you're supposed to go that I still haven't even bothered learned. No, you're right.
Yeah.
I concede the point.
No, it's okay. But yeah, the question was, do I think Last Epoch will be pretty beginner friendly? Yeah, I think the hurdles that you have to overcome to get ingratiated into the game are much smaller.
How about the Gauntlet, though? We still have no footage of the Gauntlet, right?
Yeah, I think it's like a challenge rift. I did the challenge rifts for 20,000 years, so I think it's just a really quick nightmare dungeon just to see how fast you can do it. It's very interesting though, because in the challenge rift, everyone had the same build. So people have PTA. Are you familiar? You say you played a lot of Diablo 3. Did you do the challenge rifts?
Yeah, some of them. I didn't spam them or anything, but I've done them before.
Okay, so you understand the concept that everyone gets the same build?
Yeah, it's like it's almost like less ARC PvP. You go in with a prefab.
Yeah. So here's the thing. people need to separate their PTSD from what's going on. If you ask people, do you want to do the challenge rift with your build or a preset build? Almost everyone is going to say they want to use their own build. And that's fine. That's logical. The thing about using your own build, though, is it introduces the problem that you and I were speaking about how unfair it's going to make it for when the Gauntlet actually comes out and people have been fed 10,000 Duriel kills and they have a full set of all the Uber uniques and they have 925 gear from everything, da-da-da-da-da. And, well, they have the most broken-ass build, and then they win. It's not a surprise. So if you made the suggestion, well, let's give everyone the same build, and everyone got the same build on the same rift. Let's see who can actually press the buttons the fastest. The knee-jerk reaction, especially from anybody that played Diablo 3, is, oh no, Rax, fuck that. I went years and years and years of doing the challenge rifts, and Blizzard makes the most absolute dog shit builds ever. I'm not playing that witch doctor that gets one shot and that does no damage. Forget it. Well, one thing that they could do that would be cool is, if they don't even have time to do it themselves, they could reach out to the community. And the community could make really cool builds, like try ball. This week is ball lightning sorcerer. This week is Infinimist. This week is pulverized druid. Make an actual build that doesn't suck. By the way, the Diablo 3 team knows that the challenge rift system blows in Diablo 3. They're aware of that. But a lot of people will say, let me use my own build. But if you made a fixed build, then the Gauntlet would actually be, in my opinion, a lot more fun, because then it's not about going to farm the Uber uniques for a month and then coming back to win. You know what I mean?
The rewards related to the Gauntlet. I know there's ranking icons. They broke this down a little bit. I rewatched the BlizzCon thing recently, sort of in anticipation, because I thought we were going to be talking more about the Gauntlet today. But I then remember seeing character power related rewards for the Gauntlet. I think it's mostly just sort of like a ranking system, right? Like where I am on the board, how strong can I possibly be competing against other people. So it's after you've already got your power, which means Uber farming Durio. So I'm seeing here what I'm doing is I'm thinking out loud, like where does your power come from now? Is the Gauntlet going to let us have I'm assuming it's going to let us have the pets, right? So maybe the Theorycrafting the pets is going to end up being a part of it. That could be kind of interesting with the support gems. That then once everyone figures out what the best pet is for your build, then you use that in the Gauntlet and you see which of the pet variants of the builds is what makes your Gauntlet run strong. Trying to think of ways it could be saved from just hold the barb one-shotting everything with Ubers.
Someone's bringing up the point that we were talking about earlier, that we're looking for a reason to use our endgame builds. The Gauntlet is a reason to use the endgame builds. With the way that they designed it. And while I agree that that is true, to me the most exciting time of the Gauntlet, especially when it's brand new, were to be if it was released when we all had garbage gear. Everyone's racing to 100. Nobody has perfect items. Nobody has any Uber uniques. People haven't fully digested the patch notes and know what's broken or not. And then you have a leaderboard just to see what people can do. To me, am I incorrect in saying that is far more exciting than grinding for a month, getting the Uber uniques? We will figure out what's the most broken shit possible. And then when the Gauntlet releases, everyone uses their super broken build to get within one or 2 seconds of each other.
My issue is that by the time the Gauntlet comes out, we'll already know what build is going to win. So it's
That's
the,
what I'm
the
saying. But
yeah,
it's
it's
the
not gonna be a
leaderboards are
mystery.
class specific. I thought I thought the leaderboards were class specific.
That's true enough for each class, but then it's going to be the type of situation where, okay, you're druid, here's the build that wins the gauntlet. If you want to have a high rank, play this build. Well, I suppose that's sort of the meta with these things anyway, and there's not really a way to avoid that.
It's on Blizzard to balance it. Well, true, but that I think is a daunting task, right? Like perfect balance in an ARPG with any kind of complexity is impossible to achieve. So there will probably be one, maybe two builds competing for rank 1 per class. No matter how Blizzard designs the game. It would shock me if maybe they could get in a third build that's comparable. So I don't think no matter how you design the game, you're getting away from 1, 2, maybe 3 dominating. But I don't know, like I can't double down on the fact that I like the hype of the season start so much. And the fact that the Gauntlet was going to be there, no one has perfect information, no one has played this stuff. And it would have been so fun to see how people can do in the first week. I'm going to be honest with you, DM. This might be an unpopular opinion. I would rather them not release the Gauntlet this season. Just release it in season 4 with the itemization changes. Then release it 1 to 2 months into the season. I think that would be more fun, in my opinion.
What with the itemization changes, and then everyone is relearning literally everything.
It part of it, like in tandem with the itemization changes, is fine, but just so we can get the Gauntlet at the start, man.
How about the enhanced movement? I'm trying to find things we like. Let's pull the positives out of this here, instead of being just critiquing it the whole time. WASD movement, is that a W for you?
I mean, I have like 23,000 hours in WoW, which is WASD movement. So I don't know if I will use it. I don't know if it's superior to force moving, but I can definitely WASD move for sure. But it's definitely a major W no matter what, because so many people use that as their main movement choice. So I'll take that all day long. I came out of nowhere, by the way. They said that they weren't going to do it. They had no plans to do it, and then they magically just threw it in there. So that was nice.
I was surprised to see it. I mean, I'm excited to try just to see what it's like. I'm kind of getting used to the click movement. I mean, I come from MOBAs anyway, where that was kind of the thing you used, but I was hoping that they were going to have WSD at the start of the game at launch. So now that it's being added, like, I'm kind of excited to see if it feels good. I mean, it could make just blasting through. It's not like I feel like I need to mechanically make sure I'm doing all these special clicks or anything. So it might just be super chill to be able to WASD your way through it.
Got an extra stash tab.
We got an extra stash tab. It can be done. They're beta testing the stash tab release season, the season of the stash tabs, where we get 3 stash tabs.
I mean, honestly, if like, again, I don't know what's going to happen. This might be some copium here, but let's assume that the itemization thing comes out season 4 like they said it was going to. Let's say they make it a lot easier. They also mentioned, I don't know if they gave us their full solution, but they did say something to the effect of they have a plan for legendary aspects, not just like flooding your inventory. I mean, if the itemization is a little bit simpler and there's actually a solution for storing your aspects, we might actually be at a point where we have enough stash space for Diablo 4. Because just alone, just moving letting your legendary powers level up within the codex would already eliminate at minimum 50% of my items, if not 80% of my items.
Also, like the respec mode overview. This is sort of like how PoE has it, where you can sort of look at what you're going to refund, etc., before you actually commit to it.
Say that one more time, sorry.
I'm liking the respec mode overview quality of life change, where you can sort of like plan out your build before you commit to your changes. Look at what you're going to refund, etc. Refund nodes, paths, overview them before you commit to them. It's what it looks like to me.
So that might also, again, this is a feature I wish that they would have let me test. That might also be a way to save you some. I guess it's not really a function of money anymore. You can get a bunch of money, but sometimes with the way that you have to respec certain things in certain areas of the tree, you have to do it in like the incorrect order in order to finish out your correct build. But if there was a actual respec editor, maybe they let you bypass that and they just don't let you hit save until you hit a combination that's actually possible, and then they only charge you for the points that moved. And that I mean, it's a very minor thing, but that might actually make it a little bit easier to respec, actually.
Yeah. I like that at least you can look at it now. There's not too much to plan, I feel like, but when you're switching builds, at least it'd be kind of cool if they added like a format save where it's okay. Here's build 1, here's build 2, and you could swap between. Basically, an armory system is where I'm going with this. That would have been a nice like out of left field addition if they just threw an armory into season 3.
Yeah, it's that's an interesting developer decision. So, on one hand, everyone would like an armory to press one button and instantly switch to another build. Pretty much everyone would like that. On the other hand, there is this concept of you need your choices to matter. So, Diablo 4 initially said that they really wanted your choices to matter in the game. Like, I think when Diablo 2 released, you couldn't even respec out of things. You were like done. If you made a Blizzard sorcerer and you didn't want to play anymore, you got to make a new sorcerer. It gives your character an actual identity when you have to commit to something. Like, I don't think you can change your ascendancy, right? If you pick Deadeye, you're a Deadeye. That's it. Can you change ascendancies?
I don't know for D2. Or are you talking for?
Okay, so they said that you can change it. What about in Last Epoch? Can you change your ascendancy in Last Epoch?
Don't know about Last Epoch either.
Okay, Last Epoch, they're saying no. Okay, PoE, yes. Last Epoch, no. And in the original D2, I don't think you could. If you could respec, like, I don't think you could in the original one. Anyway, the entire idea here is Blizzard, if I remember correctly, historically, because you have to keep in mind, man, I've been following this shit religiously for years because I've been playing D3 the whole time. They originally said that they wanted the choices to matter in Diablo 4, but I think they're slowly but surely doing it differently, and they're going with the more quality of life approach where here's a button that resets all your Paragon points. Here's a respec mode. I think they might have even mentioned in one of the campfires that they will give us an armory. So I think they're going less about your choices must matter to more of, let me just make you the highest quality of life game possible, and you can just respec or do anything that you want at any time.
Well, that would be preferable considering the game is, I feel like, more about blasting and big chill. And so you have to respec the stuff laterally anyway. Like, I get the choices matter argument. I don't mind the choices matter, just logic and philosophy in general. but the choices kind of don't matter because you can respec everything and go doesn't mean anything. So, I mean, all it really means is you have to click a bunch is what choices matter mean. So having an armory would make sense to me.
I'll give you one final thought here, and then I'll probably sign off. I'll throw you a raid while we're talking about positive things. I'll tell you one positive thing for me, maybe one of the biggest ones for me of this season, is this feels genuinely different to me, which I think is important. When all the seasons are kind of just the same thing rehashed over and over and over, I think that's going to be the mark that the Diablo 4 team is out of ideas and the game is on its downward spiral. The fact that we're getting a pet with 2 different 4 links and there's some chase support stones, is that what they're called? Stones to go for. I view this as a unique idea from the vampire powers and the malignant hearts. And that to me is honestly probably one of the things I'm most excited about, to actually do something different. So,
Or gym part of it's pretty cool.
That's probably one of the biggest things for me. It's a different system.
Yeah, the tuning abilities, modifying the main ones. That's a concept that we really haven't had yet. The vampire powers were in and of themselves just powers. There was no like major modification that went above. There was some that sort of interacted with each other, but nothing that actually fundamentally changed the way it worked. Like some of the ones I thought were interesting is a portion of the skill's damage applies like burning over time or poison. So you can actually spec into these things in the tree, which kind of changes the way the Paragon board interactions are going to work. So this might actually make you retune your build based upon these supports, which is a reason to sort of redevelop a build. That is cool.
I'm absolutely certain over the weekend the whole Maxroll team is going to be looking into these supporting powers and looking for ways to manipulate some of the advantages they give you to take different points out. I can promise you there's going to be changes to a lot of the builds, which is cool. It's cool to shake things up.
Well, and then hopefully we're just kind of waiting on the Gauntlet being sooner rather than later. Basically.
I hope it comes out before Last Epoch, man. I hope it comes out before Last Epoch.
Same. I can't imagine I'd play the Gauntlet over Last Epoch launch. I mean, that's what, the 21st? Or is it the 23rd?
It's the 21st.
The 21st, yeah, that's right.
23rd.
Is January is the
yeah.
D4 one. Yeah, it's going to be... I'm kind of excited for a new game launch. Are you going to do which faction you think you're going to pick for Last Epoch? You going the trade one or you going the magic find type of thing?
So here's something about this. This is kind of a funny topic. One of my favorite things that I ever did in Diablo 2 after we did like the races is I farmed gear like I had a super godly sorcerer and I just farmed all day long. And at the end of the day, I made a game called Loot Island and I just filled the ground with godly loot. And I just invited random people from chat and just gave everybody everything. Now, PoE bans this. Completely understand why. It makes perfect sense. Because it's like streamers paying for viewers, RMT, whatever.
Yeah, they just don't want someone sitting there like, join stream now, free item giveaway. Like, they just don't want those to be camping.
Makes perfect sense. I understand why they do that. So I don't do anything like that in PoE. I don't know what EHG's take on it is. If EHG doesn't care, I think I would have more fun going to the rank 10 trade league so I can trade any unique item and try to make the best shit in the game and then give it away for free. To me, that's very fun. But if they don't allow that, I might go SSF. I don't know.
Seems like there's some limitations on trade. The way I watched the video, And in terms of buying, like the currency that you have is limited by like faction rep. So you grind the faction rep, which gives you this own unique currency they use for trade. I didn't see whether or not like creating like a market icon or like a sell actually takes currency to sell it or not, and if you reacquire that same currency when you sell it, or that's the part I'm kind of waiting to see. That I'm going to ask them that here tomorrow. We got the interview with them. I'm kind of ask them to give some more info on the trade system because I'm curious about some of the details of that as well.
Yeah, I mean, I need to look into those details as well. I saw at the end that at least it sounded like you can trade anything in the game, trade any unique in the game or whatever. That's the way that I thought about it, but you're right. There might be like underlying factors that I'm not aware of. They might also have to be rank 10, which they might not be. There might be currencies involved. Maybe you can only trade it a certain number of times. Trade it one time. So it have to be something that they actually use. Anyway,
But there's still like normal trading in the game too. It's just kind of the other part that you can just like drop items. Right? I don't know. Like you say, we're gonna have to look at the limitations on that because I'm not sure how the marketplace varies from just interacting with a player, like in the world. You know what I mean?
yeah. The answer is both of them sound appealing. If there's any kind of weird stuff that doesn't let me make Loot Island, then I'll probably just go SSF.
All right, man. Well, I'll dip out. I know you're probably going to wrap up here and all that, so feel better. Sorry you've been sick. Sounds like you're still pretty sick over there, but you're still pushing on the every day for 10 years, even while sick. What a gig at Chad.
We're trying, man. We'll hit 5 years on March 13th. We're almost halfway.
5 years already.
Time flies
hey,
when
man.
you're having fun.
Well, all right. Well, I'll see you for D4 launch here shortly, I suppose.
All right, man. Maybe we can reconvene and have a chat afterward and see if we were right or if we got it completely wrong.
Yeah, we'll see you when it's in the game. All right, bud. Good chatting with you. Talk to you later. Peace.
Have a good one, buddy. Guys, that was Darth Microtransaction. Please go throw him a follow. He's a good friend of mine. Thank you, Fel, for linking me that little thing that showed more of the information. I will play Grim Dawn. I do plan to play Grim Dawn as well. Will the talk be on YouTube? We could consider adding it. Do you guys want me to add it to YouTube? Ugh. You missed a lot of it. Okay. Well, we'll get it uploaded then. All right, guys. That was a lot of fun. DM and you reading your chat and talking with DM kept my energy up there for 3 hours, but I've got to be honest, I don't have much left in the tank. I would love to sit here and keep streaming, but I probably have to fold here. But I have a question for you. I'm running out of time. Like I don't have any time. The campfire chat is coming. Do you guys want me for the next streams? Do you guys want me to go back into D3 and finish that janky Wave of Light build that I'm making and go try to push some leaderboards? Or do you want me to go back in PoE and find the mirror? Another thing that I could do is I could boot up Last Epoch and warm up for Last Epoch. So I'm going to put a poll here. Let's do a straw poll so YouTube can also participate. I got to remember not to use the Twitch polls anymore. Of course, I will watch the D4 campfire chat. Maybe the day or two before I need to actually log into D4 and warm up as well. So D3 push wave of light. PoE find mirror. Last epoch warm up. Great poll. Share. Copy. Pasting in the chat. I'm not saying that whatever wins here will be necessarily what I will do, but I want to see what you guys think. Your opinion does matter. Okay. All right. Okay. Well, this is pretty clear to me then. All right. So the thing that this is communicating to me is this one is out. And the reason why is this is going to take me some time. If you guys had overwhelmingly voted for this, then I would have to just pretty much do this. If I'm lucky enough, I can actually do both of these. So maybe I'll spend 1 or 2 days trying to find the mirror. And then if I don't find it, we're going to warm up for Last Epoch for several days. Because you definitely want to see this. So this will definitely happen. This is out. We might spend 1 or 2 days trying to do this. There's no mirror in your future. Okay. I was going to tell you, remember that you said that, but I will make sure that we remember that you said that. It's just what I needed to hear. Oh, the Warlock comes out on the 25th. All right, we're gonna have to try that. All right, guys, thank you so much. I was gonna throw a shout out to Darth Microtransaction, but instead I'll just raid him. Hopefully I spelled that right. That's a lot of words. Thank you, Ghost Rider. Oh no, are you getting sick now? What? Thank you for being here, guys. I appreciate it. I'll do a summary and then I'll have Lee upload the talk from me and DM maybe tomorrow morning if you want to listen to it. Have a fantastic night, guys. And I think tomorrow I will be a functional human being again. I'm feeling a little better. Thank you, guys. I appreciate it. I'll see you tomorrow.